One thing we also have to talk about is the fact that the only merch Isaiah Rashad is currently selling is fucking shorts.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
funny. By the way, we're started.
Oh
Welcome
my
to the show,
shorts.
everybody. The Isaiah
Hello,
Rashad
hello, hello.
episode.
We're jumping right in. No, I'm just playing.
Another week, another deep dive.
Another deep
Yeah.
dive. Welcome to the show. How was everybody's week?
My week has been decent. I will say, coming back to this album, had a lot of fun. A lot of fun, but some
Yeah.
mixed emotions. I'll be honest,
Really?
because
That's
I told
interesting.
you this was probably my most listened to album the year that it came out. I don't think it's
2021.
the best. Yeah,
That's fair.
I
That's
don't
fair.
think it's the best. I'll come out and say it,
That's
but
fair. Yeah.
it just really hit me a certain way, and I'll explain what I compare it to in terms of like other types of music. But
Hey,
anyway,
totally fair. Like, I think it's a good album. Like,
and this
spoilers.
you just this is one of like your first times actually listen to it through, right?
Yeah.
Jasper, same for you.
Well, I listened to it I think almost a month ago when we were initially going to do it, and then we pushed it. But
Yeah.
I've probably listened to it through about 6 times now.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah, I'm
have a
in the
lot of
same.
different perspectives. And
Yeah, I'm in the same perspective, same boat. I listened to it a bunch because we were gonna do this a few weeks ago. My boy Tim, if you're watching, we'll see. Talk to you soon, buddy.
sorry, we'll get
but
you on eventually.
yeah, but we just had to talk about this album. But first, but first, how was everybody's week?
Well, Jasper, how do you feel?
Well, a good word to describe it would be turbulent. Um, your
Oh, wow.
boys, in the process of kind of job shopping, looking to move from where I currently am. So
Feel that.
that's happening. Had a couple interviews last week, and then two this week. One was today, and they've all been good so far. So we'll see what happens.
Interviews and bitch. I know that. I just accepted a new job, and I did not. I do not love interviewing. Like,
It's not
yeah,
not fun at all. If I'm being
yeah.
honest, we are all in like that transition stage. We're trying to become somebody, somewhat paid
We're
somebody's.
not changing the name of the show.
We will not change the name of the show. Absolutely.
uh, but that's good. It's
Um,
good. Are you doing the
yeah,
same thing, Purvis?
I am. I've been applying to a whole bunch of different places, so I'm waiting to hear something more confident coming back. I don't know how I feel about some of the places so far, and I want to fill it out first.
Yeah.
I wish there's like, unfortunately, if I'm going to transition internally within my job, and this would be like the new blue store for us, the brown bank.
Blue Brown
But
Bank, yeah,
the blue
Brown Bank
brown
is
bank,
good actually. Yeah.
brown bank is probably yeah. But if I do transfer internally, it kind of gets you the opportunity to shadow people, learn more about the actual position. Whereas like going external transfer, you're going to a whole new corporation, culture, etc. You don't really know what the job's like until you get in it in reality.
Yeah.
Well,
So
culture is relative, right? Because Brown Bank is so big, like there isn't really like a presiding, in my
we'll say
opinion. Yeah,
How many
for
it's like
employees?
us it's a department culture.
Yeah.
new team, new
Yeah.
problems, right? Yeah, that's how it goes.
Literally.
So,
How many employees are
Boy,
at
do
that
we have
office?
problems.
oh, at the
At our
office is like
office.
3,000 or so.
Oh wow. Okay. Because
But
like
it's a building that's like
it's
what
like, is it a
60
whole?
stories
The heart
tall.
of downtown
Is it
is
like a
like one of the
dedicated
major
building?
buildings.
Yes, it's a dedicated. It's the
It is
building that sits at the exact center of the loop geographically. It's
Yeah.
two
well,
blocks from either side west and 2 blocks north and south as well.
Yeah.
to
Because
give you
like
some
I
more
thought
reference.
because like the company I work for is massive for my industry, and it's a fraction of that. It's like 600.
I mean,
Right.
you
No,
got
I
to think
mean,
about it.
well,
It's
Yeah.
one of the
globally
biggest
it's
things.
yeah, globally it's 250,000 people.
Well, yeah, that
So
makes sense because that includes everyone in the bank. Like it's just like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
completely different business at a scale. It's just like
yeah,
I didn't know you guys had
that's
60 people like all in one building. That's
yeah.
crazy.
big
It is
boy office.
apparently the 11th tallest building downtown. So
Yeah. I'm
you can
in
imagine.
I'm in a skyline iconic building, so it's pretty sick.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And you're more on the north side. You got a nicer view, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
do.
Yeah, our
Although
view is not good.
yeah, although being so close to the lake this week, there just hasn't been a view. It's been
True,
Cloud City, like
true.
nothing. So It's
become accustomed
and
to
also
it.
I absolutely hate like like the sidewalks in that part of town. Slip
Really?
City, I tell you what.
Yeah,
Right. But
we've got a little
my
bit of that
my
going
new
on.
office is going to be a significant about halfway to you guys.
Okay, but
Yeah,
that
right
means more
by. Do
Harold's
you guys know where
runs.
Italy is?
Yes, exactly. I get free parking there, or not
I
free, but discounted parking there.
my new agency Havas. I'm going to say the name one time. It's in the same building.
Okay, but
Yeah,
that's pretty
Yeah,
dope.
yeah. I love Italy because I'm Italian.
that's
But
a
anywho,
that's a spice in new hire.
Yeah,
this
that's me, the token Italian. All
I
right,
guess
Purvis, you run
enough
down the
about
news.
Chicago. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Jumping right into it, I'll be honest. We have a ton of singles, all exciting in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. There's a lot of good stuff here.
But starting off with the albums, so we've discussed it already. Lil Yachty is back with Let's Start Here. I don't really know what my expectations are, if I'm being honest,
Yeah,
because he's actually dropped like some pretty conceptual like advertisement in a rollout.
yeah,
But again, it's Lil Yachty. I don't know how
yeah,
this is gonna go, or he
yeah.
can't go.
The thing about Little Yachty's in an interesting place to me, at least, because I think he is fully proven to just be like an interesting creative person.
Mhm.
But his ability to record an album and create an album is just not at the same level.
It's
So,
not.
is this where it breaks through? I don't know, but I'll be listening.
Yeah, I think he's
Spoiler
worth
alert: this is going to be the album of the three I listen to.
out of the three.
Yeah,
Well, the second one I've been waiting for him for a very long time, but Daniel Caesar, I don't know, or the sources that I've been following, I have not gotten clarity on if this is an album or a single yet. He only dropped like a short music video form rollout on his Instagram today. Or was it yesterday? It was recently. He's always been, I feel like, in one of my top male R&B like artists, but he's got a lot of controversy recently, so I don't know how I feel about him right now.
what's the controversy? Because like I've always heard that there is a controversy with Daniel Caesar, but I don't know what it is.
That's the exact thing. So I don't know the full story of everything that broke down, but at least from what I've gathered in my very limited research, and this happened months ago, apparently he was speaking negatively on black women, I believe,
Okay.
which just is natural. Don't do that.
I will
Yeah,
Just don't do
now
no.
it if you're
Do
a
not
black
do that.
male.
Do
I
not
will
do
now
that,
read you a
because
short excerpt from his
Oh,
Wikipedia page.
here we
uh,
go.
Caesar retweeted, then deleted from conservative Candace Owens, noting he did not want to martyr for the tweet and people should hear opposing arguments. He later backtracked his comments. In April 2019, Caesar did not credit Jeremy Passion's Lemonade for credits to his song Best Part.
Ooh, that's real shitty.
And then in March of 2019, Caesar defended friend Juliana Goddard via Instagram livestream. Goddard has been criticized for insensitive comments on race, particularly regarding black women. Caesar came to her defense, asking why some black people were being so mean and called call out culture overly sensitive. Comments received negatively by some on social media, and he later apologized for the way he gave his opinion, saying, I was talking down to you guys. I apologize for how I expressed my idea. There was no one to challenge these ideas. That's also dangerous. And he effectively admitted that he was wrong. So,
okay.
I mean,
yeah,
admitting that you're wrong is one thing.
I'm about to
Like
say
it's
that's
good.
step one at least.
It's 100% step one, and it's farther
Yeah,
than most people go.
yeah. But
that's
Uh,
true.
it's
but we
like
gotta
Bo
see.
Burnham said, right?
Yeah,
Being self-aware doesn't absolve anyone of
yeah.
anything.
But like,
Yeah.
if that's the first step of many,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
like that's
Then
great.
you're on the way back, but you
Yeah,
gotta,
yeah.
earn it.
So I just all right. Like I realize that if I listen to this guy, my girlfriend will hit me. So Little Yachty it
Well,
is.
just ask her opinion, and you'll find out the
It's
full
fine.
story.
No, because
Also,
there's like a 40% chance she doesn't know who he is, and I don't have I don't
Okay,
want to have to explain this. Like,
that's
also,
fair.
just for a little additional context for maybe listeners who don't know, Candace Owens is a black
Gremlin.
conservative author, talk show host. Gremlin is valid. She's
Hitler
basically
apologist, also.
Sure.
Hitler apologist, anti-lockdown, anti-vaccine for COVID.
Yeah.
Anti-woman,
Supports
anti-black, anti-everything.
supports Trump and is also part of conservative advocacy group Turning Point USA, which I'm not going to get into, but look it up. Just do your research.
Look it up and their addresses and how to make a Molotov cocktail.
But anywho, because we're not gonna go to jail.
So what is the third album coming out?
The third one. What a transition. At least it's another single, or a singer, I should say.
Sam Smith.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Sam Smith.
He's talented.
I liked all his old music.
So
that's the extent that I go to it.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I've never listened to a Sam Smith song and been like, "Oh, I really like this." But I think he's a talented singer, right? Like this big song from last year was just very annoying to me.
What was the big song from last year?
Unholy. You didn't hear that?
The one that got like TikTok famous.
It got huge everywhere, right? A bunch of people around me were just listening to it constantly. And like, look, it's not like the worst song in the world. It's just like it got very annoying to me.
I miss like early Sam Smith. I hope this is like that.
I mean, I just never got into dude, but he's very talented.
I'm looking at it right now. I did not hear Unholy at all, so I guess that completely passed me. And then, like, Stay With Me, I think is a top tier classic song personally. But in terms of an artist, that's the extent. Like, I think he has classic worthy songs. Like, I'll go as far as to say that. But besides that, I don't know anything about it.
Writings on the Wall is lit. That's a good song.
Yeah, that was a good James Bond song.
The James Bond one, yeah.
Of course he is done.
Here's the thing, because I'm a bit of a James Bond fan too. I have to dock points for being worse than the song that came before it.
What was worse?
That's different.
What was the song before it?
Skyfall by Adele.
That's not a fair.
Yeah, that's
false equivalency. Not a fair comparison. Skyfall's the 50-year anniversary. It doesn't count. It's totally different.
Skyfall is. A lot of people say, and reasonably so, that Casino Royale is the best Daniel Craig James Bond movie. It's Skyfall.
Hard disagree on that. On anybody who says that, I'm sorry. Skyfall is far and away.
I don't know about far and away, but I agree. Skyfall's the best one.
I mean, you get Sam Mendes to direct your James Bond, like it's gonna bang.
I mean, don't say that about Spectre.
Spectre's not. I don't think Spectre's that bad.
I think Spectre's real bad.
I've only seen it once. I have to go back. What did you think of No Time to Die?
I liked No Time to Die.
Me too.
Carrie Fukunaga is.
Yeah.
Ooh, True Detective is the best TV show ever made. The first season is the best season of television ever made. It's weird and fucked up and amazing.
I just don't understand. Like, don't get me wrong. I love a good James Bond movie, and I will always watch a James Bond movie. If it comes out, I will watch it. But like, they're all the same movie to me.
That's fair.
Like, I love the action, but they're all the same.
That's fair. I feel like I feel like there's like 4 different James Bond movies. It's like, and we just like go
actually
through
being like what 10? I have no idea.
No, there's like 30 James Bond movies, and there's just 4 different plots done like 8 different.
I was gonna say with like 5 different characters, 5 different James
plots.
Bonds.
Yeah.
So I would have agreed with that up until the Daniel Craig era, because the Daniel Craig era, the movies start to become referential, where it's like events that happen in Casino Royale directly impact what later happens in Quantum of Solace and then Skyfall.
Yeah.
And then what happens in Skyfall.
It's actually like a series.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there are connections between all of them. And
Quantum of Solace, it's kind of tentative.
Well, yeah, but it goes back to Vesper and the whole thing. They do kind of build on each other and make Daniel Craig's Bond a character that actually has character development,
and like
unlike him just being him just being like an avatar for someone to insert themselves into an action sequence.
Yeah.
Plus,
gonna say
No Time to Die changes things dramatically. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but
it's cool, and I think it was well done. I think I
agree.
They do something that they've never done in like a James Bond movie, or really many action movies nowadays, and it's done really well. Jazz, Do you have a director James Bond pick for like a dream casting?
Oh, for a casting of James Bond
Yeah,
specifically, I always wanted Idris Elba.
I
He's
just
too
think
old
he's
now, I
too
think.
So
old.
many people have said that.
I think he's
Yeah.
like I think
Well,
like
there
Wire
were rumors
era
that yeah,
Idris Elba would have been incredible.
there were rumors that he was going to be James Bond after Skyfall, and that got the kibosh. So
Yeah.
that was where that came from. If I had to pick somebody now, trying to think of who's British, it's difficult. Everybody's so good at accents nowadays. I can't think of like a specific British actor who I'm gonna have to look it up just because I don't even have a pick now.
Okay, I have an interesting one. And I want your reaction to it.
Mhm.
So the one I've always liked, I really want Dev Patel to be James Bond.
Oh, I could kind of see that.
And the other reason is because like, yes, James Bond, the character is always British, but the
Yeah.
actors who play him, they come from all across like what they called like the British Crown. You know, all
Yeah.
the nations they colonized, or some of the nations they colonized. Uh, and the only country in the British Crown that has never had a James Bond is India. So I thought, like, oh, if we're gonna start with, if we want to do like a person of color as James Bond, I think someone like Dev Patel would be like the best choice.
You know what? Someone I'd like to see, not that we haven't had enough white James Bonds, but as when he gets maybe a little bit older, if he does eventually go in a more dramatic direction with his acting, is Tom Holland.
Maybe in a long time, yeah.
Or you know what? Dan Kaluuya.
I do like Daniel Kaluuya for it. I think he's a good pick too. I think if you want to do a black James Bond, he's the best one.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's get to singles. That enough Bond talk.
Right. That's a whole deep dive episode right there. The music of Bond. That's like special.
Actually, though. Okay, then I did not expect that to happen. I'll just kind of spit out the singles because there's a lot that's going on. First, I wanted to point out stuff that I missed last week, just naturally due to the way the podcast is set up. I can't get everything. First, XXX Tentacion featuring Little Uzi Vert. I'm Not Human came out 3 days ago.
Okay.
I hate this.
Yeah.
But moving on.
No, I hate it.
Red Fires, All Mine Jersey Club remix. I listened to this. You know how I like Wasteland.
Yeah.
This bang, I'm not gonna lie. A Jersey Club version of that album is surprisingly really good.
Okay.
I would never mix Jersey Club and R&B. It's the first time I ever heard of it. I think it's fantastic as an introduction. Another song that technically came out already last week, Cochise came out with a song Neon Lights. This is huge, in my opinion, well, personally for me, because this is a partnership with Rocket League. You're starting to see some more combinations between hip hop and gaming. I feel like we have a gaming coming up soon.
Yeah, we have a gaming episode. It's going to be a big one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think
considering us three, it's going to be
one night when we have like a 3-hour block where we can do this. We're going to do a gaming episode.
We'll dive into gaming.
Yeah.
But Rocket League, I probably played this game more than anything in my life, so I think it's really dope. And I don't think we've seen anything like this since Travis Scott and Fortnite. Maybe.
Well, sort of. I mean, there are other brands that have done it, but maybe not in a musical way. Like Fortnite did the thing with like Balenciaga, and like so like there are brands that kind of inhabit the cultural space, just not musically.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Louis Vuitton and League of Legends.
Louis Vuitton and League of Legends has something.
It's a thing. It's just it looks, in my opinion, it looks terrible. Look it up.
Jesus Christ.
It's like blue and purple camo or some shit. I don't know.
That's disgusting.
Wow.
I do not.
I did not think I could hate League of Legends more, but
I have some friends that play League of Legends.
We drift further from God's light every day.
You shouldn't.
I tried playing it once. I hated it.
It's not. It's not my thing.
I hated it so much.
I feel like you either play League of Legends or you play every other video game.
There's no in between.
Correct.
There's like two types of human beings. One of the best memes I ever saw, it was like comparing the Switch and the Steam Deck, And it was like Steam Deck, powerful enough to play League of Legends, therefore Switch superior.
Confirmed.
Already better. But yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff that has been coming out. Some things that are coming out tonight or either tomorrow. First, Ari Lennox is dropping a music video to a recent album.
Yeah, I saw some teasers of this on Twitter. This looks cool.
Yeah, this is super hype. I love this I'm not gonna lie. I didn't listen to the album till this week.
Really?
Or last week, but like I never actually got around to it. I feel bad because I really like Ari Lennox.
Me too. What was the one? Cocoa Butter Baby or Shea Butter Baby?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. I love that album.
Yep. And so I love her career and what she's done so far. She got a music video for "Waste My Time." A lot of people are hyping her up. I hate when people compare like you don't compare Beyonce Rihanna. Don't compare Ari Lennox and SZA. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
But at least it was all positive comments, which is nice.
Yeah.
So that's coming out as a music video. Another music video coming out was Corday and Anderson .Paak came out. The songs 210.
I saw the trailer for this. This looks good. I like this.
It's hard to be upset with that combination.
Yeah, it's hard to be. I like Corday. I'm getting into to him. He's good.
I'm lagging behind.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm not against him, but not fully so yet. But besides that, we also have some people we haven't gotten music from in quite some time. Yes. Ray Schremer coming out with Sucker or Some. We talked about this at the beginning of this year. I didn't even know they still made music, but this is the return year for them.
Yeah.
So there's going to be multiple.
I could have sworn we talked about
singles for them.
So I could have sworn one of you guys brought up Ray Schremer as like something you wanted to see come out this year.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about that. I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, but just nostalgic value of the stuff that they put out is tight. And seeing more Swally coming out is exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see. Will we get something more? 2016 or something, or even younger? Will it actually be like in more adapted version to today's time? Besides that, we have a new artist. Like literally, this is like they even posted. This is one of the first songs, or singles that they're putting out. Somebody named Zach Bia. The reason it's important is featuring Don Toliver. I have no idea how this combination came about, but I love Don Toliver, so I'm here for it.
I know you do. He's your best friend.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then besides that, I know, Brandon, you're excited for this. Vic Mensa featuring Thundercat.
Two of my favorite. Those are two of my golden boys.
Actually,
weird.
though.
Yeah.
This is an insane combination. I love both of them. Obviously, you have been a longer and I think stronger fan. I don't know if you saw the Instagram post, but I did go to Vic Mensa's page and I looked into it. Some heavy rock star vibes, jumping out of an airplane type stuff.
I had no idea this was happening until I looked at the doc this afternoon, and yeah,
I'm here for it.
I can't imagine Thundercat jumping out of a plane.
I don't think it was Thundercat. It was
okay. I was gonna say Thundercat is like
Thundercat
is like sit on a park bench near some water lilies.
Yeah, he's
and like strum something.
He's like, I'm gonna play bass music and be in the Mandalorian. Like,
yeah, right.
Like wearing a Dragon Ball Z do-rag in his own song.
Was it the Boba Fett show where it's like he was in it? He was a character.
I have no idea.
He showed up in a Star Wars show. He showed up.
Was in the TV show,
and his character was the big end of the you know how at the end of every season of these kind of bullshit shows they like leave a teaser. Yeah. I say watching every single one of them. His character was teased to be the villain in season 2.
Yeah, his acting debut, Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett. He was like, that was not a particularly good series. He was great in it. And it was so weird to be like...
Was it actually like a real role?
It was a real role.
Just like,
it wasn't very like long. It wasn't like a huge role.
I'm going to share my screen real quick just to show you the promotional artwork that officially exists for this, apparently.
Yeah, no, I knew about this. Yeah, this is good.
What?
Yeah, he is.
That's
like
pretty
main
fire.
character vibes.
Yeah, he is like a major character. He doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but he is a major character.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope. That's
it
all I'm
is.
saying. That's
Where's
dope.
my Flying Lotus cameo? God damn it!
Yeah,
like,
it is.
That does.
And if I gotta be honest, if there's anyone in the culture who
He got me.
should be in Star Wars, it's Thundercat.
All right,
That's
bet.
wild.
So,
I'm fully
yeah,
sold for
I
it.
can't believe you guys had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, no, I mean the last thing I remember anything somewhat similar to this is Childish Gambino, like
Yeah.
being in what was the movie?
It was also
Yeah, he was
Star
Lando.
Wars. Yeah,
Lando
Yeah.
Calrissian. Yeah.
yeah.
This is like even a bigger role than that, in my opinion.
I don't know about
I'm
that.
just-
Lando's huge.
No, I was gonna say maybe not.
Lando,
He played a more important character.
yeah, Lando was in like Empire, the best Star Wars movie. Like,
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
oh my god.
Um,
All right, let's get
and
to the
then-
news.
yeah, I was about to say jumping down to the news. We have Jasper. I feel like you can cover this better than I can, but Kid Cudi has either started or is at least releasing some scenes about the new brand or collection called Members of the Rage. Jasper, what is this?
Yes, sir. Kid Cudi, after many years of dabbling and going in and out on little kind of flash in the pan collaborations, is finally releasing his own feature length clothing collection.
So I
It's
did see
been-
some shoes.
Yeah.
Those look pretty decent.
It's been like 12 years in the making, this kind of thing, since he started doing collabs with people, and he's finally doing it like full scale. And a lot of the clothes look pretty experimental. Not all of it is something you're going to be able to pull off on the regular.
Mhm.
But there are some pieces that I think look super solid, and I'm interested to see, you know, when they come out, what the price points are like. I hope it's not just like one of these luxury lines that gets kind of buried by the prices.
Yeah.
The shoes look interesting. There are a lot of pieces that are kind of reminiscent, to me at least, of an earlier collection he did with APC, the kind of like leather goods company. He did like a red, like rockstar leather jacket along with some like basics, like some pants and some t-shirts. And so
Wow.
he's kind of dabbled before in collaborations, but this is like his line, and it kind of draws inspiration from that, but it gives it more of like a, I don't know. So there's like something organic about a lot of it. I found a lookbook that kind of went through a lot of the pieces on models, and it's super interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it comes out.
Okay, bet. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is bigger than anything I could have expected. I didn't know if this was like a merch line. I didn't know if this was on the level of like some kind of collaboration with Supreme, but like it seems bigger than both of those.
Yeah.
This is like his, from what I can tell, this is like his Yeezy line, like his version of Kanye's Yeezy line, which I'm excited for. I don't know about you guys, but there are a lot of pictures here. I'll send you guys a link, but it's everything. It's like there are shoes, there are like mixed textile bomber jackets, which are like leather sleeves with like a kind of like crushed material for like the chest pieces. There are crew necks. There's like big knit sweaters in like bold colors. There's like
It's legit.
crazy distressed pants and basketball shorts and patterns that are evocative of Bape without actually being Bape, kind of like a nod to the early era.
Oh.
I'm excited. There's a lot of shit in
No,
this that
let
I
me
would.
say,
Most
I'm looking into
importantly,
it now, this actually looks dope.
most importantly, I think they're going to be releasing the Rager, what is it? The Rager hockey jersey. Cuddy on
Oh.
tour sometimes wears a
I
jersey.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
sick.
it looks like the New York Rangers,
so, yeah.
I guess, where it's diagonally Rangers across, but it says Rager, and it's in like the colors of the team, and it's got like Mescudi and then his like birth year on the back.
It's very
If that
sick.
drops,
Snap.
if that drop is in this house,
As a certified big
No
dude,
matter the price.
I'm a huge fan of hockey jerseys. So
I'm gonna share my screen just one more time here. We got some other stuff, crazy like lunar vibes. We've got like puffer vests. What else we got here? Let's see. This is from Hypebeast.
It's the thing is like the shoes, I want the shoes, but everything else is so bright. It's just like hard for me to match stuff with or like do stuff with.
So I think a lot of it is, but there is some more toned down stuff. This bomber is crazy.
That is dope.
Or varsity, whatever you want to call it. But like this shirt, I'm interested in this shirt. Like whatever is going on the front that I can't see. I also kind of mess with this vest. I'm not really a vest guy, but who knows, you know?
That's cool.
I love this right here too.
Actually, I do like this hoodie. I like this a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is directly Virgil inspired. Off-White has a business.
Such a good.
Yeah. So basically, this is the leaving the tag on is directly referencing Off-White's collections of like formal wear, which is pretty cool.
What a terrible loss! That out of everything that I've seen, instantly all three of us was like, okay, that's dope.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot. I'm messing with this like mixed material vibe. We got like wool for the chest and then this crazy like synthetic material for the arms.
Look, I mean, depending on that, the jacket that we saw is probably going to cost like $1,000. So,
this one?
No, the one, the Virgil and the Off-White one.
Oh yeah, I think that's going to be like I don't know. I don't think Cuddy's going to have any resale value.
Well, I guess this. I don't know how I feel about it.
There it is.
If this is supposed to be easy level, oh yeah, that is cool.
There it is. There's the piece. I need that.
But
yeah. So yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to be excited about here. And I hope he doesn't fumble the bag and make it like $600 for a jacket, because that's gonna make this, a lot less accessible for a whole lot more people.
Yeah.
Right,
man, I am just happy I am not a fashion person. Like,
I was literally about to end the conversation with like, Brandon, now you're gonna get into it.
No, like it's just not how. I just like to dress very.
Look, we're gonna start you with Jordans, and we're just gonna
sneakers. I can get sneakers. That's one thing. We could talk. Right.
We can find a hoodie for you.
One thing,
find a hoodie.
Yeah, for sure. You can like a piece or two. It's just like, I'm a flannel guy. Like I definitely got my
to the party in a flannel.
I definitely, something I learned yesterday at the concert I went to was that like my fashion sense was definitely formed during my like DIY pop punk phase. Like,
but did you dance like Uma Thurman?
Yes.
Well,
like I assumed that was the answer.
Yes.
With no shame. All right, but
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Moving on to some other news.
One thing I do want to mention also, just that clothing collection. I think people have really sided against Cuddy with the whole Kanye beef thing, so that's part of why I don't think it has resale. Also, a lot of the comments have been overwhelmingly negative, just because I think it's very experimental for a lot of people, a lot of mainstream.
I get that. So, I get that, but at the same time, like I'm someone who like up here, like I get the appeal of like streetwear and fashion. I just don't want to dress like that.
Oh, for sure. I just think that like for this collection,
I think those look cool. Like nothing I would ever wear, but I think it looks cool. Like I don't think it looks bad. Like
yeah, I just don't think this collection is going to be commercially popular. I think it's going to be popular with people who are looking for a specific aesthetic, but I don't think it's like Purvis said, I don't think it's going to have any resale.
Yeah, and also I definitely think it's going to be very expensive.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold my breath, but we could be surprised.
All right. Want to move on?
Yeah. So the next piece of news I wanted to jump into. This is someone I've been following for a while, but we haven't talked about him on the podcast. IDK. I would put him at the same level of popularity as like Amine, possibly. Same kind of style of music, really friendly, upbeat, joyful music, I would say. He is releasing all of his music. So the ones that were like on private on YouTube, he's made public. So all the sleepers. I just wanted to kind of bring it up because I don't think that we've seen anyone else do anything like this, and I think it's extremely dope concept.
I do think it's very cool,
but it's very dangerous.
I don't know. Well, why would you say it's dangerous?
So that's what I was gonna talk about, because I feel like it's like a double-edged sword, in my opinion, because I think you are satisfying all your fans, and considering the fan base that you have, if people know him, they're fairly loyal or at least enjoy his music. So you're pleasing what like they would want to hear. But I think it is dangerous to like put out all of your music. I think some of your music is not meant to be released, as you can either adapt them, reform them, do other things with the music, re-release it in a better fashion, or it can kind of dilute your actual quality. I feel like there's a lot of artists that we've discussed recently that just like when you put out too much, it just takes away the meaning, become a less
It just waters
guided
down.
artist.
That's fair. I definitely think this is a good move. Uh, but my only reaction is it seems like if you go on YouTube, yeah, like if you're not paying for it, you have to listen to ads. But I can't think of any song you wouldn't be able to just find uploaded onto like an artist or label channel, right? Because I listen to music on YouTube a lot. I tend to listen to a lot of like live stuff and like compilation stuff of stuff in different genres, and like it just seems like if you're looking for a song, it's on YouTube already, so it doesn't seem as radical as I think it may come across. But I do think it's a cool and good thing.
Playboy Cardi has entered the chat.
Yeah. I'm sure he does not enjoy all of his music beatings.
Yeah. Oh, Cardi.
We're gonna get you on the Cardi face too. That's another person.
That's fine.
That's when you're gonna hit your fashion era. You're gonna enter your vamp era. And
I
then...
can see that.
If I ever
my thing
have
is like
saying he's a vampire, I'm going to
Morricones.
I'm going to lose it.
My God.
That'll be peak. Should we?
Do we want to do the pitchfork discussion? I just think okay.
I feel like you have more than share.
I just no. My thing is that you had written down that are we going to talk about Pitchfork giving Ice Spice a 7.6 or like, yes. And like my issue is just like even talking about it is just cards on the table. Raise your hand if you listen to the project. I like why are we talking about it if two out of three of us didn't listen to it, like, you know? And the other thing is I do feel like Ice Spice is getting like a lot of hate that is just misogyny. Mm-hmm. I do not think she's especially bad. I listen to it.
I think you just brought up a really good point in terms of like the rating system, giving it some kind of like clarity. Because you're saying who is it actually meant for?
Who is it meant for? Yeah, because it's like you see this all the time, right? You see like, oh, Pitchfork gave this blank. But the thing is that
it's almost always seems wrong.
And it, yeah, definitely. You know, it's either it's like purpose. Definitely that's possible. Like I definitely think that happens. But like my point is that like Pitchfork is composed of like dozens of writers. And like it's important to know like, okay, who are you listening to? Like what is their consistent music taste? You know? And like I also just think, full stop, having listened to the album, this is an album that is for women, and therefore, like, a woman's review of it, I think, is just inherently more valid in that way. In the same way that, like, if we're talking about a science fiction movie, me being someone who reads science fiction, my opinion might be slightly more valid. You know what I mean? But, like, the other thing, the double-edged sword is that I just think there's a lot of negativity around, like, this artist and this album. But at the same time, like, if I had to give that album a grade, it would probably be the lowest one I ever gave on the show. So, even,
I guess that is true.
Even in context. So it's like, you know, I just didn't want to participate in the discussion, really. For those reasons.
That's understandable.
I think it kind of goes back to Pitchfork's age-old problem of, like, the fact that they, you know, it's not one voice. Obviously, no publication or ratings agency reviewing agency is. But at the same time, it always feels like there is a deliberate attempt to get eyes and attention on what they're publishing by being controversial. and they've been doing it for a long time. You look at how there was a piece they put out a while back where they were adjusting ratings on a number of pieces, not quote unquote canonically, but there was basically an article that came out and said like, yeah, we reevaluated and we like changed these scores after the fact based on like how albums have aged. So, I think it's one of those things where anything Pitchfork puts out, you have to kind of approach it from the perspective of the number one thing that they're looking out for or focusing on in the publication of a review is their own publicity above all else. So when you rate something like Man on the Moon 1 a 4.8, which they did, you develop controversy. People who have not seen Pitchfork before as a site go to pitchfork.com and see what is this bullshit.
Yeah.
And this happens time and time again. It happens with like all genres of music and whatever else.
So you think it's more deliberate as an actual reverse psychology?
Yeah, because
100%, 100%.
I gotta be honest. I think that's selection bias.
I don't know
because
it happens in multiple genres. It's not just like one narrow kind of avenue.
Sure, but I think what you're explaining could, because it's multiple genres and because it's a publication with multiple writers, I think that phenomenon is probably more explained by having people cover albums that they don't understand rather than a malicious intent. I don't.
So I actually have something about this. I'm glad you brought this up.
Like, I don't like to attribute anything to malice that could be better explained by incompetency. And the other thing is that I think there are too many examples of that just straight up not being the case. And I think, like, to pull it right back to what we're talking about, this writer, Heaven Heel, who wrote this Ice Spice review, one of the reasons why the review I think is kind of silly is like, she gave Smino's album a 7.7, right? Mm-hmm. And like, I like Smino's album. I think I'd probably go a little higher, but I think a 7.7 is totally fine. And like,
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so that's valid.
I think it's probably coming from like stupidity and ignorance.
I was going to say it's more ignorance than malice.
That's what I agree with you in general, but I do have a specific example of that not being the case.
Yeah.
So and this goes back to a Kid Cudi thing, of course, because it's me. Hello, your boy. Man on the Moon 3. They gave it a 4.9, and it's written by Alphonse Pierre, and he's been a music journalist in the space for over 10 years. And before, I don't know if it might have been before Passion Pain came out. He basically said, Kid Cudi better not drop another fucking project. I fucking hate his music. And like basically all these like hate tweets. And he then is specifically assigned to cover this for Pitchfork. So this is an example of this person very deliberately, covering
this is a rock solid case for this specific review. You're right.
Yeah, for this specific review. But what I'm saying is I think that they do have writers and reviewers who they know have specific tastes, and they assign them things that challenge them, because when it does generate a more negative score from that particular person, then that has the potential to be more interesting or say controversial to a lot of people than a positive review. Bad news sells better than good news, just plain and simple. So I think that there's a case to be made for this happening as well across this, and also maybe some other publications just in general, maybe in like a more nuanced way, I would say, but controversy sells.
Yeah, I get controversy sells, but I think reaffirming people's previous held beliefs also sells.
Oh yeah,
it's the reason why Fox News is the number one watched thing in the country, is because it's just reaffirming people's beliefs. And I'm willing to bet. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna do this really quick. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, you made a rock solid, airtight case for like that specific reviewer reviewing that specific one. But like, I think about like Kendrick Lamar. Like, he gets such high reviews,
Yeah.
And it's
Well, so
like,
does Kanye.
yeah. And like they're almost certainly the ones that generate the most ad money. You know, or
Yeah.
even someone like I don't know. The thing is I don't even read enough Pitchfork to like know who they consider. I know they don't like Childish Gambino, but like
That's true.
as I've gotten older, I found they're because the internet review to get stupider and their
Camp got a 1 point what a
I do
1.4?
I don't
Camp did less than like 1 point something. I think it's
yeah,
like point something.
I think that's overly harsh, but Camp has not aged well in my opinion. I do
I
not,
I agree with that, but I think even just on musical merit alone, it's better than a 1.4.
once again, too harsh. Once again,
Yeah.
too harsh. It's just it's hard for me to have sympathy for something that has like aged so poorly, in my opinion. All right, but yeah, no, Pitchfork sucks. Like I've never really read Pitchfork. I really only watch one other, well, maybe two or three other music reviewers. And now that
I'd say Fantano.
Hip Hop DX, Dead End Hip Hop, Sean C, Big Quint. That's about it. And now that we do this, I feel like I try to watch even less because I feel like I have to like make my own opinions, and that's hard.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, so basically my point is like I just didn't want to add to the negativity around Ice Spice, and I just couldn't also be honest about how I felt about her album because like
Just for context, Alphonse Pierre, specifically this writer, gave Honestly Nevermind a higher score than Man on the Moon 3.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't know who they think they've got writing for them, but I can't help but think that the opinions are invalid when it's this consistently out of touch with what is considered good.
Maybe he did something to Pitchfork.
I mean, it's the Armand White thing though. Like, there's always going to be someone who thinks that.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, sometimes those people are really eloquent. Like,
Pop Smoke's Faith got a 3.8. I'm just saying.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But anywho, feels like it's time.
It is finally time.
It's time to talk about your boy, Purvis.
Yes.
What are we diving deep into?
The House is Burning by Isaiah Rashad. I would like to say that I did not initiate this idea.
Yeah, no, this was my idea.
Was I happy?
Yeah, this was my idea.
I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
I know coming into this, like I said, when this came out, I think this was a perfect album for me at the time.
It was a summer album, right?
This one, I don't think it was a summer album. I want to say it came out later in the year. No, it was a summer album, July 30th. This, I don't know. It's hard to kind of put into words, and I've been trying to kind of put my synthesis together over the week about how I feel about this album just in general. But coming into it, I think this is one of like the purest examples of an album that could set a mood or an atmosphere and actually have it be consistent. And that's what really like just drew me in. The way I would think about this album is how I think about lo-fi. And like we've talked about lo-fi a lot, where like it's just almost like background noise that puts you in a certain mindset or a certain mood that brings out a certain emotion where you feel that repetitiveness, you feel that flow, where you're actually within the album. But I don't want to like go off too much yet.
Yeah.
I want to get you all's opinion as well because I know both of you are relatively new to it.
Yeah, no, this was so. You sent me the lead single "Lay With Ya."
Yes.
When it came out, and I love that song. That's my favorite song on the album, which I guess is like going to be a pretty big indicator of how I feel about it. But you know that song, Isaiah got, as I like to call it, Fayez'd, because I saw that feature and it was just like, man, I really want to find out more about this Duke Deuce guy. This guy is fun and I like him.
Well, the feature outshined the actual.
And like, yeah, basically just because like that's how I discovered Brett Fayez. Is like I listened to that Goldlink song Crew, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
who's this
Red
guy?
Is pretty good.
Who's this guy on the hook?
I get that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I just never got around to listening to it. And I'm happy I did because I like it. I'd say I like everything on the album. I don't think I love anything besides maybe a couple songs on their own. But like when you break it down to its components, like I think everything is good. But I just don't think quite anything gets too great besides the production.
Okay.
Yeah, the production, and when I say production, I mean like how it's all put together. You know, not just the beats, even though the beats are great, but like, yeah. So,
I think that's a really good thing to kind of build off of because the production is kind of what carries it. Because there is a lot of moving pieces, but it blends together so well.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't really become like overwhelming or anything. I don't know, Jasper. Before you even like guess the album, what were your impressions coming into it?
So yeah, listening to it through for the first time, what really stood out to me was I think one of the problems that I have when I listen to music, especially new music for the first time, is I probably don't have it loud enough where I'm like actually hearing everything going on in it. That's usually maybe because I'm in the car or whatever else. But yeah, I listened to it through and I didn't really, the first time through, I just didn't draw any kind of opinions on it. Like melodically, it was nice. It didn't have anything that stood out to me musically that there were no hooks that grabbed me that like kind of kept me like thinking about a song or got anything stuck in my head. And I went back and listened to it again, and I actually like fully listened to it, volume up, whatever else. And again, like exactly the same. I enjoyed it, and I thought that there were a lot of songs on there that were well crafted and were I would say really kind of well put together in terms of sequence. But there wasn't anything that majorly stood out to me, with the exception of, I would say, a run of 3 songs at the beginning, basically From the Garden, R.I.P. Young, and Lay With Ya, as like that 3-song set.
It's a pretty good theory.
I agree, it is, and those really kind of stood out to me, in my opinion, relative to the rest of the album. But with that being said, they aren't necessarily something that I would go back to on a regular basis. I just thought that the album as a whole was like, it was so difficult for me to quantify like how I felt about it. It's like, is it good? Is it not good? Is it somewhere in the middle? And for me, I was just very neutral on the whole thing, which usually doesn't happen when I consume media. I find that I have some kind of draw to it or something that makes me not enjoy it, but that wasn't the case here. I just I feel very neutral about it.
I mean, and even being neutral about something like
it's
that
interesting.
alone can
That's an interesting.
it puts
reaction.
you in a weird position.
Yeah, because there's usually
you don't feel too strong in any direction.
Like I want to like it, but at the same time, it's like
there's like a barrier. It's like a force field, like keeping you from like fully enjoying it.
But I also don't dislike it. Like it's just it's this.
Yeah.
It is so hard in popular culture now to take this stance. I can't think of the time I felt about this for like another thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can. I just played the video game Control through for the first time.
Oh.
I feel the same way about Control as I do about this fucking album.
I couldn't get through Control.
It's like neutral somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this game is like beautiful, but the gameplay is not super interesting, and there's a story that's so cryptic it's not even worth my time. So it's like this weird neutral, like no man's land purgatory type thing.
Yeah.
You're trapped.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about this. It's like there are things that I do like about it, like qualities I like about it a lot, and then there are things that I don't like about it that I'm sure we're going to get into.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I will say, like right off the top, there's gonna be a big disagreement with me because, like, one of the things I appreciate about this album is I think it ramps really well. And I think "From the Garden" is one of the most annoying songs I've ever heard in my goddamn life.
Oh, you said it was repetitive, right?
I agree with you, that doesn't mean it's not fun in a certain way.
To me, it's like nails under. It's like putting a needle right under my nails.
I thought you said it get better over time. I remember you said it was repetitive.
I don't think it's like bad. I think like there's like a good song there.
It came out bussin'.
Exactly. And here's the thing, right? like they play a snippet of this at the end of the music video for Lay With Ya, so I heard it. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. Came up bussin', that sounds great. But then it's just it's just all that. And like, look, the Uzi feature's cool, but I don't think it's anything particularly special. And it's like, man,
so this is over.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I do not like this song at all. But from there, it ramps up for me. You know, and like, yeah, for most of it, I feel exactly the same way. But to me, there are like a few islands like throughout the track list that I really like. You know, like Lay With Ya. To me, I think the best runs are 4 through 6. Lay With Ya, Claymore with Smino, and Headshots.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Headshots is one of the
Headshots
is one of the low points on this album for me.
That's fair.
Really?
Yeah.
And then I think
the most streamed, by the way.
Yeah.
I like throwing that in there.
I see that, yeah, and I can tell you why. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I thought the next best part of the album was the end. I think it ends very well. I think it has a very strong ending.
I think my highlight is also
9-3 freestyle to the end. Great run of songs. And really, it's everything else that's just kind of like, this is cool, like, but just doesn't like hit with me. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but on Chad, is he saying like if I was a rapping baby?
Hold on, let's.
Like I was listening to this song like earlier, and I'm like,
because that just caught me off guard.
What is going on? Like I'm going to be listening to this really quick.
I have no idea.
It's a combo though.
So that actually brings me to one of the.
If I wasn't rapping.
If I wasn't rapping, that kind of the fact that you bring that up kind of reminds me of one of the things that one of my frustrations with this album, which is I think it is well produced, but I think that the way it's mixed, his voice is very buried when it comes to instrumentation. I think it's hard to hear what he's saying a lot of the time, no matter what sound system I listen to it on, no matter what volume I have it at.
That's
a great take.
His delivery doesn't help.
Yeah, for a TDE project.
That is a great take, yes.
For a TDE project where you have such verbose artists, it's a little disappointing to me to see a project like this have his lyrics be so buried. And that's something that has, I think, negatively affected my listening experience a lot. Because I can catch like snippets of what he's saying, but there's no way for me to piece together the cohesive, like whatever this album is about. I don't know what this album's about. I can't understand a good part of it, and I'm not going to go sit on Genius for an hour and read through everything.
That's the thing.
No, that's an excellent take.
I just thought this was just the ever rare not a concept album. Like I thought this was just like a collection of songs. I did not like, and yeah, obviously that's going to like limit how I feel about it to a degree.
Yeah,
Not that everything has to be a concept album, but like
it does help when things fit together.
It also adds another vector for success and also for failure, to be fair. But like,
there are some bad concepts.
For example, but like for example, like if we have the same album, which is like, the production's great, the lyrics are good, the mixing's kind of bad. But then it succeeds on the concept. It's like, oh, okay, well now we can like kind of get our heads around it.
I think that a concept album, the idea of a concept album has gotten much more popular over time, and I think modern audiences have resonated with it more. Because if not every track, if you're not DJ Khaled and not every track is like a club banger, then you have to give. I think you have to give a listener a reason to want to listen to the next track and want to know what comes next.
Yeah, and you could do the Lizzo strategy and just make every song incredible, but like that's hard.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's hard work. Like
it's very hard.
I mean, I think about just like albums that they suck you into a narrative in a way, and then it's like you have to see that through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and some albums do it really well, some albums don't. But I wasn't able to pick up on anything like that with this, just because of the technical limitations.
Yeah, to me, I just didn't think this was had any kind of concept, which is kind of weird because like
I couldn't find one.
Yeah, because it kind of has like it feels like one. in a weird
It does,
way.
honestly.
It kind of feels like the house is
like
burning
you listen
sounds
to
like
it,
a conceptual kind of thing, right?
right?
And not
There's
even
an
like
overarching subject or something.
and not even like a faux pretentious angels and demons kind of thing, right? Like a
It's in like all of your favorite albums.
I get it. Like I just think it's the kind of thing an artist does when they want to feign depth.
Literally, The Weeknd has done it like twice in the past
And
year.
he does it well, but not everyone does.
You're annoying.
Like it's a trope. It's like
Okay, sure.
it's the more common a trope is, the harder it is to do well.
It's just like it's one of those things where you can't take
Yeah, and
religion out of the
but
culture.
here's
It's
the
like
thing.
one of the biggest parts.
Here's the thing. I actually think that's exactly what it is. It is a trope. Like just like a trope in a movie, you know, like but that here's the thing. You can love tropes. I love certain ones. You know?
So you watch Marvel.
Exactly. 100%. No, that is a bulletproof counter argument. Like you just say
your argument is invalid. You watch Marvel.
Not that, but like
I know, I'm just having fun.
dude, my favorite thing is all the people being like, "Oh, Marvel's a military funded thing," which they are.
Yeah.
But all those people being like, "Yeah, Top Gun is nominated for Best Picture." It's like the Pentagon the movie? Like
There's so much more.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, like I completely understand. Like it's kind of hard to take deeper meaning from it because like it's kind of hard to hear the lyrics. And like they flow together super nice.
They do flow together super nice.
The rhyme schemes, the flow, it's really, really high quality.
So I'm actually curious because how do you guys feel about the features? We talked about how his voice is kind of muffled or buried within the vocals. Do the features outshine him?
I have beef and praise
Okay.
for features on this. Brandon,
there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good features, but the thing is that like I think they either meld into the backgrounds or they're good. There wasn't anything that like stood out as bad to me, personally.
So I gotta say, I think that Lil Uzi Vert feature, you already touched on it being just kind of like okay.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Like
I think that is a very phoned in feature
really?
from Lil Uzi Vert. I was talking to Purvis about this at work. I said, if you compare this to Uzi's other features or collaborative work that he's done, look at songs like Patek or Patek, and then look at like that Juice WRLD one, Wasted, and Uzi's feature on Wasted, and like the energy that he brings to a track that's otherwise kind of not sleepy, but just kind of like ho hum. And this is just it doesn't feel like something of his. It feels like he's just kind of being there to be there. He just showed up, did his thing, and left. And I think it just isn't representative of his talent as a feature artist.
I think that's fair because honestly, I put Uzi very high up in terms of like talent, even though
he's one of my favorites.
He's not someone I think of like Mount Rushmore type thing, but I still put him in like a top tier of artists within like their generation right now.
Yeah,
he is capable.
Yeah. Eternal to Take got me through the pandemic. As like the deluxe release, it's like, man, now I have music to listen to for the next 9 months.
We all have the pandemic album.
In like 5 months.
We all have
should do a deep dive.
We've done that episode.
Man,
sorry.
So that's one, and then the other one that I take issue with is on What You Said, Doechii.
Yeah.
Oh.
With the Doechii. So I'm actually. You brought up something I was going to bring up. So you said at work that it seemed like she might have been copying a flow or kind of a similar style of Doja Cat.
Yes. It's like, with the exception of the accent, it's to the T Doja Cat. It's exact. I tell you, I've listened to all of Doja Cat's debut album more times than I would like. Yeah. Just because I'm not a huge fan. My girl likes it. Her friends like it. It comes on. I don't get a say.
Yeah.
And it sounds exactly like Doja Cat, and that also leads me to my issue with Headshots, and also why I think it's the most streamed song on here. It sounds like a Kendrick clone to me.
That's fair.
And think about when this album came out. This came out in 2021. TDE. Kendrick hadn't dropped Mr. Morale yet, so people were hungry, and it's like, oh, this sounds like a Kendrick song. Let's play it on repeat. That's just like I don't think that's what happened, but it's just like in my mind, that's where that kind of goes because it sounds very imitative. So for me, I think that track and also the Doechie's feature, those are points on the album where there's a lacking originality.
So I do want to ask you one question. How familiar are you with Doechii, though?
Man, you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't know anything about Doechii.
And I don't know anything about Doja Cat.
Yeah, well, I've listened to like a good amount of Doja Cat. I think Doja Cat's a very talented artist.
I think she is too.
Yeah, but Doechii was my newcomer of the year last year. Like I honorable mentioned her EP. I'm a big fan. Now, she is not in my favorite. She is not my favorite feature on the album, and it also is one that I do think kind of molds into the background. So I'm not here saying it's the best feature in the world, but as someone who is just very familiar with her, I did not get Doja Cat 1%.
Interesting.
When I think of Doja Cat, I think of
like
extremely like pop artist almost.
I think.
So when you said it, it kind of threw me off because like I just listened to Doechie's EP finally. I just got to hers.
Yeah.
As well.
So I will say,
damn, is it good? And it's very conceptual.
Yeah,
I don't doubt that she's good. But for me, it's the pitch, the delivery, everything about the way her voice sounds.
Yeah.
On a purely like I would say
sonic.
Yeah, like a sonic or a technical standpoint, sounds like Doja Cat. I'm not saying that it's like necessarily like, oh, she's like imitating Doja Cat's style, but it's just she sounds exactly like her. I'm telling you, it's uncanny.
As soon as we hang up, I'm gonna listen to it again.
I'm literally gonna listen to some Doja Cat.
Yeah,
I would say,
but it's just like, look, once again, like it was.
I believe you
as a big fan. Yeah, no, like I don't think it's outrageous. It's just. And look, I'm a big fan of hers, and I don't think this is a particularly strong feature. But like, I just did not get any kind of derivative vibe from it. You know?
I don't think it's deliberate. It just it struck me as being such a direct thing in my mind, just off of my own experience, that I was like that, and also just the fact that this other song sounds like a Kendrick song. It makes the album feel less original in a way, to me personally. I'm not saying that that's actually the case, but that's just how I felt about it when I was listening to it.
That was going to be my next question. So considering, because like here's the thing. Okay, Headshots. If it sounds like Kendrick, that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
If it actually does sound like Kendrick, he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
But like, I'm curious. Does it take away because it sounds like Doja Cat, and this is just something that's like you're accustomed to and you don't like it?
I will tell you, I heard it. I was like, oh, they got Doja Cat to feature. I looked at the features and it wasn't her, and I was surprised. Like,
okay.
And it's not a bad thing. I think it's just one of those things where in my mind it was like, oh, it's someone who maybe doesn't have the pull to get a feature from so and so, who's featuring somebody who might sound in that way to chart or to make the song do its thing in a more kind of commercial way. That kind of thing.
You just brought up a really good point. Because in terms of, if we're looking at all of the features as a whole, Lil Uzi's the biggest name.
Yeah, by far.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
By a jump, in my opinion.
SZA?
Yeah. Uzi versus SZA, it's not close.
I would say maybe...
Critically, it might be close.
Not better.
But in terms of sales...
I think in terms of sales, Control probably outdid anything Uzi ever did.
I don't think so.
Ooh,
I really doubt
it. I don't think so.
I'm looking it up.
I don't think so.
I would 100%. But look, I could be wrong. But like,
you might be discussing quality. Not to say Uzi's bad.
Well, my thing is that like, I don't know anyone who doesn't listen to hip hop who also listens to Lil Uzi. I know a ton of people who do not typically listen to R&B who are fans of SZA.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
That's a look.
Because
this is interesting.
Because even streaming numbers aren't going to fully convince me that he's bigger.
So I'll tell you right now. Control 2017 total sales as of now 2,145,000 overall, and that's for one project, right?
Okay.
Lil Uzi Vert almost matches that with Love Is Rage 2 at 2,120,000. So they're only 20,000 different or 25,000 different. And of all of his albums overall, That's the highest one. So she has outsold him by 25,000 units for one project.
She has over
But
double.
Uzi has.
She has over double the monthly
I'm
listeners.
I was literally about to say, I'm looking at
like
this. So
I'm just gonna put
up.
Really? On Spotify specifically?
Yeah, Spotify.
I did Spotify.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
This is what I'll do because I pulled up song stats. Monthly listeners, she literally doubles, which might be a more current thing because she's blowing up right now.
That has to do with a recent release. Take that away from her. That has to do with the recent release.
In terms of followers, he has 14.4 million and she has 10.3 million. In terms of popularity right now, which is current, again, she has 96, he has 88. They both have the same number of playlists reached.
Yeah. So, look, I give it to you. I just don't...
It's closer than I thought.
Yeah, I just completely disagree that it is obvious.
A long shot. No,
it's not.
It's not a long shot.
You know?
I mean, I think that Lil Uzi Vert, though, has
He has a bigger career, not career, a longer career.
He has a longer career, and he has I think he has more of a name pull with a specific group of people who might be listening to this album than people who are into
I don't know. Like SZA did the Black Panther song.
I know, but if you're going to listen to a TDE project, which name is more likely to resonate with you?
Well, I don't think
Lil Uzi Vert or SZA.
Is Lil Uzi Vert on TDE?
No, but I'm saying that this album is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
So it's like people who might be interested in this album enough to dig up Isaiah Rashad's project and say, hey, I'm going to listen to this. Lil Uzi Vert is probably a much more recognizable name for that group of people than SZA is, would be my take. Because I was in that boat, personally.
Possibly.
This is tough.
My thing is that, if we're going to talk, relevancy, I don't know. Because the other thing is that you say a TDE project, I think it makes, I think the exact opposite, because SZA's on TDE.
Right, because SZA's on TDE.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that's and I'm not saying I'm not saying it is SZA's way higher than Uzi or anything. I'm just saying I think it's odd to just be oh, he's clearly the biggest. I think is it and also SZA's the best. Also, I think SZA is the best feature on the album.
She is.
Or Duke Deuce. He's Duke so good.
Iconic.
He's incredible. I do love the Smino feature. I know it's just kind of Smino doing the Smino thing, but it's good.
I mean, are you ever gonna say no to Smino?
Exactly. You're right.
I'm okay with.
Am I ever gonna say no to barbecue?
Come on. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of already did a track down in reality.
Yeah.
Or a track list breakdown, I should say.
Yeah. So let's talk more high level then.
Yeah, I was gonna say in terms of because on everything that we've said so far, I kind of hinted at this at the beginning of the podcast. Coming back to the album gave me mixed emotions, mixed feelings because
I want to hear more about that because I know you were real big on this album.
Yeah, this was my most streamed album that year. But I'm starting to realize why there's a lot of flaws in the album as well. I think it's one of the better albums, but I still think it lacks in structure in terms of attaching and actually having songs stand out by themselves. I feel like if I was to hear songs within this album, I won't actually know where it is now. I won't know where to place it. I don't if it just came up on shuffle, I wouldn't know where I am in the album. I would kind of get lost in it. And I feel like because of the lack of the concept, because of his voice almost being a background instrument as well, there's often times where I'll play this album and it'll be in the background when I'm playing the game. And in reality, it starts strong and then I kind of fade away. And then I come back at the end and it has a really strong ending and I love it. And so it's a time capsule, okay, I know an hour just passed or however long the album is. But that's really a negative thing if you sit back and think about it.
Yeah, no, that's not a wholeheartedly positive experience.
Exactly. And so I think that's why I was comparing it to lo-fi, because with lo-fi, if you want to listen to lo-fi, whoever's fans of it, you can just put on
I love lo-fi
24/7 stream lo-fi.
Love that shit.
And it doesn't even matter what's playing, it's just playing.
Lo-fi, lo-fi house, lo-fi stoner goth house, 2 a.m. smoking blunts. crying.
Okay.
Like,
If you want to take that route, yes. But
yeah.
in reality, that is what it is. This is what I compared it to. If I compare that to lo-fi, it's like, is it really hip hop? Is it really good? It's like you kind of got to take a step back how you feel about it.
I would definitely say it is still hip hop, but yeah, you're right. It definitely has like that wallpapery kind of feel about it.
Right. Which we talked about that before.
Yeah.
SZA's album had a lot of kind of wallpapery in it, and it's like, okay,
I've spent a lot of time with that album this month.
you don't think it's wallpaper?
I've evolved past that. Yeah, like I'm not
I
saying.
think there's some.
Yeah, it's not completely. It's not like a wallpaper free, but it is. I don't think it's nearly as much as this album, and I think it's a longer album.
It is a longer album.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of how I felt about it at a high level because everything that we're kind of saying with an album, I feel like it does a good job at bringing out that emotional feel, where it's not you can't really attach to it necessarily. It's hard to jump past that barrier where it's like, oh, this is amazing, or this is really bad. Which being in limbo sucks. In any kind of entertainment media field,
Yeah.
being in limbo,
Yeah.
it's not a good thing.
Because like, it is kind of like interesting because I think Jasper brought something up earlier that I thought was like really accurate when you say like in the constant discourse of today's world, and I think hip hop is like one of the most nitro fueled discourse like segments of the internet, right? Neutrality is like an unpopular position to have. But I think you might make the argument that like if you're listening to a piece of art and it makes you feel nothing, that might be even worse than it making you feel bad or making you react to it like you would something you don't. So like is the farther you get from neutral, is that almost worse? I don't know about that, but like something to think about.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing that saves this album for me is the fact that it's like Purvis said, this goes down smooth.
It
like
does
real
go down smooth, yeah.
But when I think about that as being one of the redeeming factors for me, what else goes down smooth? Blonde. Like there are other albums out there that match that criteria. So for me, this would never be my this would never be my first pick for like putting something on.
That's a really good point to bring up because you're right. Like I think I say it all the time. Run the Jewels too. It goes same exact thing. It goes down so smooth, but it's such an emotionally impactful thing. Blot, great example. I think Kids See Ghost, another great example.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like that. I do think that's a virtue. I do think that's a positive thing, but like it's not like that's something exclusive to art that is kind of neutral. Like you can have something that's truly great and just as consumable.
I agree. There is one other thing that I do kind of feel towards the 2/3 of this album, maybe around True Story, when I get to like that point.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to a piece of music, like an album, a long album, and felt like claustrophobia almost? Like it's like, oh my god, I'm ready to get out of this thing.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, Donda.
So there are a couple of albums that really do that for me. They give me like a sense of like I'm waiting for this to be over. Not in the sense that I'm not enjoying it necessarily, but it's like this has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And another
is an amazing take.
Yeah,
I feel the exact same way at the exact same point in the album.
Yeah.
So this album does that for me, but let me tell you this: another album that does that for me that I feel very differently about is Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying. And the Kid Cudi album, the one that's like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But the thing about that album to me, the way I interpret that album is that album has acts. It starts out slow and sad and deep, and then it kind of goes through this transformative experience, and you end up somewhere. Exactly. It has pacing. It feels claustrophobic towards the center. After By Design, there's a couple tracks in there where I'm just like, let's get this moving. But with that said, I feel that same way about this, but it doesn't feel like there's anywhere to go. Like I agree that it does resolve somewhat and get better toward the end. I really do like the dynamic that SZA and Black have on Score, Like, I think that that's a good pairing, and I like Black's feature a lot, specifically just because it's nice to see something coming out from him again after however long it's been. I haven't been paying attention.
Oh, wow.
But it just feels like the album, it goes down smooth. It is very digestible, but because a lot of the tracks sonically are similar and you can't really hear what's being said, I get that kind of claustrophobic feeling, and I want to move forward. And there's nowhere forward. There is no forward. Is like my kind of take on that.
Especially
No,
if
that's
you're
completely
saying you
valid.
don't like the later end, you know.
That's something I've definitely felt. I felt it about Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, and I feel differently about that album.
I know. It's one of those things where
not
it's
his
just
worst.
it's the fact that it has a narrative to it that is redeeming for me.
It does have. Even though I don't like that album, I agree. It has a sense of pacing that will relieve that feeling 100%. Like I can,
and it's too long. I agree. It's too long. There's too many songs, but yeah.
And I don't necessarily feel that about this album, but I also get it. Like,
yeah, I think that it's just one of those things where it's interesting that there's a weird middle ground where you can feel as though the project is this feels longer than the runtime, which is what, like 48 minutes.
That's never a good sign.
but at the same time, it starts out strong, but at the same time, that strong beginning doesn't captivate. Like it doesn't feel like it gets hooks into you at all. I don't know. It's a very strange experience for me.
Like I know for me, like it doesn't get its hooks into me because I think the beginning is so ramshackled, right? Like Dark Side is a cool intro. I love that it's named after the DC villain and not the way you typically write out Dark Side. So that's really cool. From the Garden, I think, is mad annoying. R.I.P. Young, step in the right direction immediately. Like,
agreed.
The time I was this week when I re-listened to it, like, I was, like, getting through From the Garden, and then, like, immediately when this track started, I'm like, oh, that's better. It was like someone lifting their boot off my throat. And then Lay With Ya, which I love, but those 4 songs are not congruent at all. They're very ramshackled. And then for me, Claymore is where I sink in. And then, I do think like tracks 8 through 11 are like the slowest part of the album. So once again, even though I don't get that claustrophobic feeling because every song is pretty short, I get it.
Yeah, I think they're similar enough where even though they are short, it doesn't feel like there's momentum.
Yeah, totally fair.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what do you guys are thinking about this guy in the future, though?
So that's one of the main things I want to bring up now, because as someone who's already listened to this album a ton, I've gone back and listened to his older albums. I'm assuming you guys haven't heard any of his older stuff.
I've probably heard a song or two, but not like a whole.
Believe it or not, this is extremely consistent with his discography. All of his albums, everything that we've said and mentioned, I will say some of them are a little bit more conceptual, where you see like a sense of maybe family or maybe a sense of religion
like
that's stronger, right? And that actually like sticks throughout the album and has a larger impact than what he's saying. But for the most part, all his albums are like just like this. So he's captured a certain part of the industry, the culture, the style, where if you do like this, this is your go-to.
Yeah.
And reviews reflect that. I looked up the critical reviews of this album, and it's highly, highly rated. And I was kind of surprised at how highly it is rated. Yeah. And to me, it's like he's been able to make lo-fi hip hop while still somehow writing verses for every song. It's like lo-fi hip hop that just happens to have words that are,
it's lyrical. It's lyrical lo-fi.
Yeah. Literally, yeah.
That's what we should call it. We should call. Oh, man. But I bet if we said that to Isaiah Rashad, he would not be happy.
No.
No. It's like the bars are good, like, but you gotta read them.
So the fact that you bring that up, Purvis, where it kind of sits in his career as kind of consistent, would you say it's a classic?
So that's why I wanted to throw this in, because I was like,
I had a strong feeling about even seeing this question.
Yeah,
because I'm like, why are we even discussing this? The answer is pretty obvious to me.
Brandon, you know this. Every time we do a deep dive, I have to throw in the classic
Okay.
question
Okay.
just for fun.
Like even this
I'm
time
not
though? Like
even this time. We're not gonna break our culture. We will do
okay.
classic on
Okay.
every deep.
You got me. You got me. You got me. You get good argument, okay?
No. But I did want to just open up. I'm not gonna troll you guys. I don't think this is a classic. No.
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 I
No,
don't
not at
think
all.
it's reached that level. I think it could be someone's personal favorite. I have no problem with
Yeah.
somebody saying that. Um, I don't think it just holds itself strong enough. You can't be in the middle and actually be.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's certain, and that's another reason I want to bring it up as well, because Jasper hasn't had the opportunity to talk about his definition of classic. But some
Oh,
things
that's
that
fair.
we pointed out in terms of like what a classic is, it has to be mutually agreed throughout
Yeah.
the
It's got to be
industry.
the kind.
Everyone kind of
Yeah.
says,
It can kind of be like if you say it's like a classic to like a group of people, if no one
no one's
agrees
gonna
with
go crazy.
if no one, well, I don't know about that, but if like 0 people agree with you, then it is not a classic.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
what I
thinking
agree.
about the opposite way, where like if no one has problems with you saying that, then it's like it's probably a good sign that it's
Maybe
leaning
is.
towards.
Yeah, sure. But
Right.
I would say like, yeah, if you say it to a group of people and no one, that's my personal definition. Is like,
Okay.
and it doesn't need to be like obvious. Like I think like the best example of that is oxymoron. I 100% said
Hmm.
that's a classic. I don't think if you went up to a lot of people they would agree, but I think if you went up to a group of people and said, "Hey, do you think oxymoron is a classic?" I think a fair amount would say yes.
Yeah. He
Like,
was like, okay, yeah, I'm down to agree with
yeah,
that. But anyway, Jasper, what is your definition of a classic,
yeah,
and how do you kind of go about this?
Something that has a either immediate or following gradual cultural impact that is profound, where the characteristics of the art piece, whatever it is, work their way into pop culture as a whole and kind of cement themselves as a touch point. You have
yeah,
to have there's a level of reference and a level of focus that will always be placed on that thing. And if you make a reference to it, somebody else understands it. That's effectively like a measure of a classic, in my opinion. So that exists in film, books, whatever, music. You know,
Yeah.
if you reference something, somebody's able to pick it up out of like a general conversation. Generally, someone who is not necessarily super deep into one specific subgenre, I consider that like a classic status.
that's interesting.
So like
Okay.
if you reference a song and people either know the song, know how it goes, or say, "Oh, I like that artist," or I know that artist's work. I think that's classic criteria
That's
because
interesting.
you are bridging a gap of just association by subgenre over popular culture as a whole.
Hmm. I like. I think that's a really valuable metric for music. I think there are some mediums where that breaks down a little bit. Uh, but yeah, no, I think that's a really good metric.
For me, I use that for music and film specifically.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
film you can really evaluate what's a classic by something like that. So I saw this meme the other day that was basically that scene from Lord of the Rings where all the riders from Gondor are riding off to go die at not Helm's Deep, at that like outpost that's in between like Sauron and the city, and the Hobbit Pippin is like singing that like iconic scene from Lord of the
yeah,
Rings.
yeah,
And
Okay.
next to it, it was like duetted with a video of a rabbit eating tomatoes. And I was like, this is a deep cut right here. And the
yeah,
reason is because it's like, if you know the scene, the steward of the city, the guy who's like in charge, he's eating food and he tells Pippin to sing for him. And there's a close-up shot of him eating a tomato in this really gross way where like spits juice
yeah.
down his chin. The fact that
Really
I was able to understand that reference, I like to me that is a classic film. That's like cemented classic because like this
interesting.
deep
Yeah,
kind of pop culture reference that then gets remixed and is still recognizable in some way.
that's totally fair. Like, and there's going to be 0 arguments from me about the Lord of the Rings movies being a classic. I'm actually,
I think that's
I am
fair to say
actually,
it's a
I'm
classic.
halfway through The Hobbit right now. I'm doing a reread of Middle Earth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Thoughts?
it's, it's like talking about Straight Out, like the album Straight Outta Compton. It's a classic for a reason. It's like it's almost when I had a YouTube channel where I made like video essays. The essay I wanted to make about the Lord of the Rings was about like scorched earth. Like, is there anything of value to even be said about the Lord of the Rings anymore? Like, yeah, no.
I mean, for this album, because we obviously said no, it's not a classic. I think this album does the exact opposite. It has, in my opinion, zero cultural footprint, and it's not going to have one. It's just there's nothing about it that is.
That's the double rainbow line.
Yeah,
that's a meme.
so that was hilarious. That's like one of my favorite spots on the album.
Yeah.
My baby mama probably at the end of that. Yeah, that was fucking funny. I'm thugged out, but I just seen a motherfucking rainbow.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good reference. But
yeah,
like,
but I can guarantee you I will never see like a viral video with that as audio or like anything like that where it's being taken out of context and being used in a pop culture just kind of scenario at all. I think it's just going to be, it's not going to be remembered.
Can I press on this really quick? Because I need to ask this question.
Go for it.
Okay. The most like memed rock band of all time, the most culturally referenced rock band, not of all time, but like in our generation, 100%, is Nickelback.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Weezer's catching up.
I think, fair point. My point being that by that definition, that would make them a classic band. I get like this doesn't break down, but like bad things become referenced all the time, right?
I guess it's true.
But you can have, I think you can have something that is classic that isn't good. I think that's something too where it's just carried forward.
Okay.
Look at, I mean, Smash Mouth.
Fush You Ming is a classic album. Like,
yeah. All right. But it's just one of those things where it's like,
but no,
the metric for a classic.
I'm gonna say Rick Roll is a classic next.
Let me
get up and walk out.
No, I think as that's consistent. Like that's all I was wondering. Is like because to me, mine is like kind of social, but it is kind of like quality based too. Like,
I would say that that's probably one of the criteria. I guess it's the difference between being classic and being infamous.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So, do we want to do grades?
Grades.
C. I'm giving this a C because it's not bad.
I was gonna say because
it would get its degree. Like
it would get its degree. It passes all its classes. No one's gonna judge a C.
Yeah,
I agree.
If that's your grade.
Yeah, that's my grade C. I was maybe C plus because like I do like a lot of the features. I'm going C plus. Like I like a lot of the features. I think there are a lot of songs where Isaiah does shine. Lay with Ya. The freestyle song, I actually think he shines quite heavy on that. Even though it's like a subject matter that I usually think doesn't make for good songs, I actually do like that one. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so C plus. That's right.
Come on, Jasper.
I give it a C. I mean, I was thinking about it. I can't think of an album that is more average across all of its kind of core characteristics than this. I can't think of one. I mean, maybe there's like some old rock albums that I used to listen to that would fit that criteria. But yeah, like I said, there's just nothing about it that grabs me or even insults or affronts me in any kind of way.
Yeah.
Where it has memorability and also an impact on me personally. Yeah. So because of that, it's middle of the road. I was like, this is like the perfect, like, not even in a negative way. People use this word very negatively now, but this is the definition of mid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's literally just like,
I had to make a conscious thing where it's like, I can't say this is mid, because like mid is so overused.
It is overused. And I feel like people use it in the wrong way.
They mean it to mean like bad, but not atrocious, I guess. Like,
yeah.
You know what's made the rise of that word? You know what's really like catapulted it is shoes.
Really?
Yep.
People use it to reference. People use it to reference Jordan 1 mids as being inferior to like the original high cut.
Oh.
So that's like part of where it came from. Like mids are mid, so that's like it's not.
Who wants mids? Let's be honest.
Yeah. I've become a fan of saying it's Reggie. It's pretty fucking Reggie, man.
Reggie. Okay. Not everyone's gonna get that.
But yeah. I mean, so like for me, like obviously we do the letter scale, but if I had to put on a number scale too, just to quantify, I would say like it's a solid, just like 6 out of 10. Yeah. Like that's for me, that's like the C section for sure.
Yeah.
Coming into it, because this was one of my most listened to, one of my favorite of the year, it was a B plus. After having to like listen to it in a more introspective way and having to break down, because sometimes you can just like feel music, you don't have to like overly think about it, but like knowing that I have to come to podcast and explain how I feel about it, it has significantly gone down because like you think about it in a different concept, I should say, or a different way. So I'm gonna move it down to like a B minus, if I'm being honest. C for me is average, and I put this above average because, again, hate to use the term B, but I've heard a lot of mid music recently.
That's fair.
I think this is
and you
significantly better.
Yeah, and you have the most exposure to this, so like
and you may also have some nostalgic value that gives you like a little bonus point there.
Yeah,
so.
2021 was already 2 years ago.
Yeah, wild.
Why'd you do that? Why would you say that?
Time.
You have to say
that. Time beats all. I've looked upon the face of the time god.
We're not doing this.
Okay.
We were doing so well. We were doing so well. We need to do recommendations. Does anybody want to start off? Have yours ready?
Yeah. I have mine ready. So my first one, just because like goes without saying why I'm listening to this. I'm recommending "Money in the Grave," Drake and Rick Ross.
Jesus Christ,
dude!
Wow. That's a hard opener.
Yeah,
man was ready.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about my next one. My next one I think is a big recommendation, but it's a rock recommendation. So.
Okay, right. No, that's a strong opener.
Yeah,
money get great. I'm sorry. It's like a dumb inside joke about this song. This is the way they say it. Okay.
Really, my realist word I can't say on my face. Like,
it's actually good. I haven't heard that song in a while, but it's
so good. Yeah.
Okay. I'll go then. My first one is going to be an artist that I discovered recently called Money Man. What an interesting name that is. But it's a song called Memphis that came out. It's like the perfect Southern trap song. I'm pretty sure it came on shuffle after like a Future album.
Send it to me right now.
Bangs.
Send it to me right now.
It bangs. Like, it's really good. All right. Jasper, what's your first one?
So my first one is actually, it's a song that was, I think, originally written specifically for a TV show. It's Black Gold by Flying Lotus and Thundercat.
Oh,
cool.
It's a minute and a half, and it is the title opener track for the Netflix original series Yasuke about the Black Samurai.
That's cool.
I knew this.
Yeah,
and I want to watch Yasuke very badly.
That show is interesting. It's got very mixed reviews. I really enjoyed it.
Say mixed reviews.
I enjoyed it personally. I think it's, pacing is so, but the opening and this song, perfect.
It is good.
Yeah,
I should have recognized that sooner, but that's a great selection.
Yeah, short, sweet, minute and a half. Just do yourself a favor.
Brandon?
Oh, okay. This is going to be a long one. This is a walk. Last night, I was lucky enough to go to the 1,000-person Fall Out Boy show at the Metro. It was wild. I've seen Fall Out Boy before. The last time I saw them, they were fine, but the venue was awful. It was at Wrigley, and Wrigley is not a good place to see a concert.
I was there. I thought it was all right.
I had really bad seats as well. Right,
okay.
And I was there for the one with Rise Against and Machine Gun Kelly, unfortunately.
Oh, I was there for the Green Day one.
Yeah. So, seeing them, they gave a great show, great everything. But I was really blown away by the opener, which is a small pop punk band called Games We Play. The 3-piece band. They don't have a bass player. Nice. And first off, the energy they gave was insane. The singer's like a big dude like me. And he was just, I have never seen anyone be more energetic on stage. I have never seen anyone like just go so hard. And the crazy thing, big dude, white t-shirt, going hard, no sweat stains.
He is sweaty.
No sweat stains.
No sweat stains.
Insane.
Oh, he does this on the regular.
Yeah, he does. Right. And so I just want to recommend the song Games We Play, Get a Job. That's also the name of their EP from last year. I'm telling you right now, if I had heard this a month ago, this would have been in my on the Golden Nugget special. I actually think like the second verse on this song, it's like a fun pop punk song. Purvis, I really want you to listen to it. I really, really want you, like very badly. I want you to listen to the whole EP, which is only like 14 minutes.
I'll listen to the EP.
Yeah. He has a song about an affair with an older woman. It's really interesting. But I would actually say this. Nice. There is a bar in the second verse of this song that I think hits harder for us personally than almost any lyric from last year. So like, it's an
that's a lot of hype.
Yeah, it's an incredible song. I'm also recommending it because it's the name of the EP too. Short listen. These guys are going to be big. Great show. Great song. Recommending Get a Job by Games We Play.
I'll have to check that out then. My second one then, I've been going back, like I said, I've been listening to a lot of Future, and I'm going to get a lot of controversy in this, but Future and Juice WRLD, the collab album that they did.
I know.
I honestly think it's one of both of their better albums. I'm not saying it's their best, but I think it's a pretty good. You know, we'll probably do this as we'll do this as a deep dive eventually.
We're probably gonna do another really Juice WRLD and maybe another Future before that. Like,
yes, we'll eventually get to this.
Yeah, we'll get to it in 2025.
Is amazing. As long as it takes, we will get there. But that would be my second one. I think that entire album is phenomenal. But the song "World on Drugs" just kind of stood out to me.
Yeah.
All right. Jasper, close out.
All right, my next one, I'll type it in just because the band name is tough to spell, but Baby Shay by a band called Ovlov, and that's OVLOV. Another short, kind of sweet song, and it's tough. It's a very noisy kind of alternative, intense guitar, but then the vocals are just so smooth, and it's something that a friend played for me, and I don't usually like alternative indie type stuff, at least without like it being polished in some kind of way. This had that, and it just feels, it's like I said, short, sweet, feels like the complete package in like one quick song. I really enjoy it, and I think it's worth a listen.
I'll listen to that.
Fun story, Brandon. The person who recommended this to me is a friend of mine who works in music business, specifically for like booking agencies, and she was at the same show last night. So,
yeah, great fucking show.
Similar tastes. I think you're gonna like this one.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
We made another episode.
Guys, we got a big one coming next week. We probably should have talked about this at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it's never too late. Let's just break it down for
we're going to be having, what's the guy's name? This artist, Sean?
Yeah. Let's see if I can get the full title.
It's been a long week.
You can tell it.
Oof. It is Shaw Calhoun. Yeah. Shaw Calhoun is going to be coming on the show to talk about his previous project, My Regards, as well as his next project. We listened to his previous project. We're going to be listening to his most. It's really good. That's like a group rec, I would say.
One thing we should point out is that by the time you're watching or listening to this will be available on Bandcamp.
Yeah, his new
Fly
album,
Langston by Shaw Calhoun, is now available on Bandcamp, and it's going to be everywhere else on February 10th. Yeah. So we'll have our next episode up before that with a little kind of interview. Yeah. He'll be a guest on the show, but give it a listen, check it out.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. No, we're really excited. This guy, we heard about him out of nowhere, and we listened to the music, and it was dope. So we're really excited. So as long as we can get it all scheduled out next week, yeah. There are human beings involved, so like give us a break if it.
There's some moving pieces, please.
But until then, guys, we've been nobody.
Love to see it.